Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, Sword Art Online wants to go in this week, and in this week it did. Holy crap, guys. We are looking at one of the crazier sword-like fights we've ever seen in Sword Art Online, and I think this is a really good way for Sword Art to kind of take itself back to where it started, because not only did Sword Art have some of the coolest like fights and like abilities that they come up with these they come up with these characters in the sense of we had we had multiple really cool people from the fairy like the fairy arc, and then we had wind, all that. We had all these different countless abilities, and these abilities were also in the Sword Art game. It's just we never really got to see all of them because it ended so abruptly with the main boss showing himself much earlier than he would actually need to. So that was a thing. um, but with that being said, we get this situation where right now, oh my god, that was dirty. Right now, we get to watch Kimito pretty much be in a situation where he doesn't know every single fighting skill out there. He doesn't know um, stories of certain people who have done, you know, all of these crazy things in their past, unless he actually gets the information from them, or if he hears it from the people who have lived long enough to hear these stories and stuff. So it becomes a situation where Kimito is definitely in the dark, and the show like shines so much more because of it, because he's just like us in this situation. So every choice he starts to make starts to look like something a human would actually make, and that's what makes it so cool in my opinion, is because Kimito being the the godfather of getting ladies, to see him in this situation where we don't have to worry about really any ladies anymore of his own that he's trying to pretty much be with or take care of and stuff like that. It all comes down to his fighting ability, and that's what's going to get him the furthest in this show. Unlike just like his politeness and his skills to talk to people and stuff like that. None of that stuff is important because he's already under the thought process of being evil. So now he literally needs to just show everybody that regardless of what's being said about him, he's not as bad of a guy as you think. Not to mention, he probably could help a lot more than their quote unquote master ever was trying to help them. So there's already those types of things in the air that we can kind of take away from all of this, in the sense of what Kibito brings to the table by just showing up to this place and just being himself. And it just goes to show you that he was not lying to the Cardinal when he said that, he wants to have a third option that he makes, and if he can make that third option, he's going to do it. And he's already kind of messed up option number one for the person who's helping them be able to do any of this. So it goes to show you that he doesn't necessarily care about other people's full-on plans, including if it messes with his own design of a plan. Like, his own third plan is to not have so many people lose their lives and be able to still live in this world peacefully. He just wants them to live a better life than they already were, and that's hard to do with someone like with someone like that administrator putting down rules that really don't make sense. And not to mention, we learned the main rule that she really set forth was no killing, so no one could gain authorization higher than hers. And mind you, she didn't gain that full authorization through just killing. She started to, um, learn spells after the killing and stuff like that. And after the killing was done, by using those spells and then by trying to push those spells to another level, we then get her reaching higher and higher authorities over the whole entire system. So she's absolutely ridiculously overpowered, probably. So for Kimito and Blonde Kimito to even come through and win this seems highly unlikely, but that's what makes Sword Art also very, very good. There was no way he was supposed to be able to beat the last boss in the first Sword Art, a guy who can pretty much block any and everything. But to be fair, he was a part of the system, so that kind of is like cheating in my opinion. Like, yeah, you could block any and everything because you had God mode enabled, and then when you unenable it, all of a sudden Kimito can take you out. A guy who's lower than the monster that you've been fighting, he comes in and wrecks house with you. So those are the types of things that this show really brings to the table. Is and I was gonna say ambition for some reason, but it brings like this. You want to wait, but you really feel like you can't. Like, they do the best at that. Like, oh, just wait for this next episode. It's like, ooh, next episode, you say. Yeah, I'm gonna need it right now. That's just how it feels when you watch Sword Art lately. Like, the show is so amazing that I just want to get it all out of the way here and now. But of course, that can't be the case, because if it was, the show would already be over and I would have watched it all in one day. But yeah, the world don't work like that, even though I wish it could. But yeah, overall, where we get with this story is right after defeating the girl who's controlling light, we pretty much see, Kimito's ultimate, just like we saw Blonde Kimito's. And I told you guys, light versus dark. Come on, where's my subs? Go share the video, the last video, and share this one. Get me some subs, get me some likes. Let's go. But overall, man, it truly just goes to show me yet again that Sword Art can never be counted out when it comes down to content. You can't count them out in content, because they just like to go in. They like to give you narratives and stories that we're just not getting everywhere else. Like, sure, we're getting stories about girls and how to be with every single girl in the show, but we're not getting shows where he gets to then show off just what he truly wants, um, as a whole, compared to somebody who's just swinging his sword, killing just for the women. This man's doing it for this whole entire world to live a better, prosperous life. And it's things like that that kind of give you hope that the character is in good hands. And if you haven't liked the characters from the other seasons and stuff like that, then, maybe this isn't the one for you. But for me, being a fan and seeing everything up till this point of Kimito and his arc with everybody that he knows, it kind of sucks that his friends aren't a part of it, because they were such huge parts throughout like most of the series. At least Asuna was a part of it at the beginning to, find out where Kimito was, show us at least that aspect of there's actual people out there grinding to try to save this man, or at least figure out what his situation he's in. Um, but yeah, we then get, the full-on Kimito parts then after we've seen Asuna try to save him and whatnot. So it just comes down to what do they want to do overall with those characters. Was this the last time we'll see all of those characters, and is this the last season of Sword Art? These are the questions that I am answered. I am interested to see the answer to in the future of the series, because I mean, come on, this Alice's Alicization right now is absolutely ridiculously bananas, right? So who's to say that this isn't the last, real story-driven arc that they make for this character? So, and I'm only saying that because I'm ignorant of how the manga. Oh my god, I hate Charge Blade. I'm only saying that because I don't know how the manga, how the overall narrative of the story is going to end as a whole. And I wanted to put on something else, but that's just where I'm coming from. Like, I'm coming from, just from what we're getting, what could be possible after certain things pop off. That's just how I'm looking at it. And from my perspective, it's looking pretty good for maybe more content if it's all and said and done. Because with Blonde Kimito being a person, sure the time I'm pretty sure the time is much different, like speed wise and stuff like that. So uh, Blonde Kimito might age much quicker after Kimito like leaves out. So if that was the case, that would kind of suck. Uh, for him to like show up and the next time he sees him after he leaves, he's like an old man or something. That would kind of suck, but it would make sense in the grand scheme of, in that world, in that afflux, they just age a lot quicker than they ever would age outside of it. And not to mention how amazing this show has already been, but to have a sad ending and to end it all would really suck. But I can understand it, because if they want to end the series, they have been going for quite a bit. So if they wanted an end to the series, I can understand that. And I'm probably gonna get slapped right here. Yeah, because this monster is stupid. But yeah, I could see them doing something relatively brave at the end of this and being like, "Thank you for watching Sword Art. Goodbye." But at the same time, I could also see them making a reason for them to maybe go back there, maybe making it more accessible for people who want to visit. Like, for instance, he wanted to bring Asuna to this world, but that never happened because of, the whole incident that occurs. So it's like, if Asuna was there, how, bro? Would that change much of anything? Or would Asuna just be another one to get in the way? Or what do you guys think on that? Asuna being in this world to help Kimito. Because her imagination's probably just as crazy as Kimito when it comes down to her making her abilities and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I was going with that. It would just be interesting to see what she chose to do, in my opinion, compared to everybody else. Asuna was always one of the people that definitely kept up with Kimito, and was the closest to rivaling him in the sense of just pure talent with the blade. And I think we saw the person who did rival Kimito, which was Yui, the girl who had one of the saddest arts in Sword Art history. But I definitely feel like she might have surpassed Kimito just because of how she was playing and her body being pretty much how Kimito's body is now. And that's where I'm getting with the whole, like, Kimito as a person is going to be so much different than the one that we know here and now, or that we knew before he got put into the overall concoction, to hold him and to make him be able to live a life again. he has practically had to change a lot about himself, um, that he probably isn't going to remember in the real world. But thanks to this place, he'll still have some type of memory of everything instead of just losing. Pretty sure he would have lost a lot more if he never had came. I think he might have died if he never had came into this place, to be honest. So I am truly interested to see what happens to our boy Kimito at the end of this. Seeing the end of the light battle and then seeing Alice and just how ridiculously powerful they made her with that sword that can straight up just like break her out of ice. Which was kind of weird in my opinion for him not to freeze the sword that Kimito literally just said practically a god had installed something into it, you know. Kimito doesn't just ask these questions only for his own benefit. He likes to ask these questions because it would help him in the long term understand what the heck he could just be possibly going against. And that would be a person with a sword that's made out of pretty much a god tree. And mind you, uh, these swords that they've been using are all made out of like things that are surprisingly powerful or something like that. Like the blue sword was made out of like the dragon or something that was defeated, you know, or it was created over time by crystals melting into the sword. You know what I mean? Like there's all these really really cool ways that the swords are created or that the swords have been enhanced, and I think Kimito's is the most basic one out of all of them, and yet he still did his elemental enhancement, and it looked absolutely dope, you know. So that's where I'm kind of going with it. It comes down to more of the imagination, the person who's wielding it, and the person who is bringing it to life to make it something that we never expected it to be. And because of that, who better to do something like that than Kimito, the man who believes he can save this world and everybody in it when someone who's been living in it for hundreds of years only sees the outcome of taking out as many people as possible, but then maybe saving a handful, you know? So that's just his character. That's just how he's always been created, is to fight the good fight and try to pretty much just better any situation that he can before he doesn't have the power to be able to. And that's also where it came down to saving the girl using light. He had the ability to save her, so he couldn't see himself doing anything but saving her. So that's just the character that you're dealing with in Kimito. So if you don't like that much about him, I can understand why you probably don't like Sword Art, because he's never really changed. He's always been like this because he's had the power to be like this, and that's what's really cool about him. He doesn't change his outlook on things just because he has a little bit of extra power or a little bit of extra angles and stuff like that. He always takes every situation like it could possibly be his last, and that's a fun aspect to watch about Kimito, and to still see him be in these situations to this day and trying to figure out how to save other people is so Kimito, man. But yeah, with that being said, my anime people, I will talk to you guys in the next one. I'm going to do a Radiant video, and I think that'll be my last video for today. So if you guys wouldn't mind showing this one some love, and then when Radiant drops, show it some love as well, it'll be greatly appreciated. But if not, just a like, or just a view is good enough for me from you guys. So thank you so much for even viewing my content and even being a subscriber, being one of my anime people. But with that, I will talk to you in the next one, and we will see how Radiant is, and we'll get to see just what Kimito pulls out, because the next episode is called Truce. And after the wall kind of formed back up, it kind of makes sense that Alice would want to go all the way back up to her master and back to the position she was placed at. And Kimito would definitely want to go back up to his partner, knowing that every time they've gotten in a fight, they practically needed each other every single time. So to just leave him up there by himself is pretty messed up, in my opinion, in the sense of Kimito's thought process. There's no way he's gonna want Yuto, his brother practically up there by himself, fighting against knights that could be stronger than Alice, that are probably lying in wait after her. So I will talk to you guys in the next one, and I can't wait to see what you guys are feeling on Sword Art this week and other animes. So thank you so much for the support, and I am the Anime G. I will see you guys in Radiant. Alright, peace.